I want to look ahead, because when this program first airs, it will be a few days before your next opus in the New Yorker is revealed. And it is on a subject, if that's possible, more controversial and complex and thorny than the War on Terror, and that's Scientology. Yeah. And I know that there's a certain amount you can talk about and a certain amount you can't. Yeah. But let's talk about the parts you can talk about.
All right.
This is about the experience of, as I understand it, Paul Haggis, the director, who was part of the Church of Scientology and deigned, you know, he got out.
Right.
He can't do that, but he got out.
I've always been interested in why people believe what they believe. Yeah. You know, in America, you can believe anything you want. It's not like a lot of other countries, but in this free market of belief, why do you choose one thing over another? And in my whole writing career, I've written about Amish, I've written about Mormons, and I was always very curious about Scientology. And then last year, when Paul dropped out, I didn't know he'd ever been involved in it. I admired his work. I thought Crash was, a work of genius. Yep. And I thought, why would a person like him be in such a stigmatized organization? What does it offer him? It must be something. I mean, because, it must take quite a lot for him to lend his name to it, and he must draw something from it. And he'd been in the organization for 34 years. So it's a long part of his life to have had that affiliation. So I wanted to study and talk to him about what drew him into it originally, what the community was like, what he learned from it, and then why he broke away.
Was he receptive initially to your overtures?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little surprised that he hadn't talked about Scientology at all. He had, cut off all queries about it. But I caught him at a time when I guess he was ready to actually address it. He only wanted to do it once, he said.
And so this will be the time.
Yeah.
Right. And in the course of your reporting, you discovered that the Church of Scientology, how to put this, doesn't particularly appreciate this degree of scrutiny.
They are an aggressive organization that patrols its image as carefully as possible.
Right.
So
they may be watching this right now.
I'm sure.
Hello?
Yeah. And so
we take all viewers, by the way. Right. Yeah.
So we, I try to deal with them as respectfully as possible, knowing that it's it's a a legal landmine. It's just something that you have to negotiate. Fortunately, I'm dealing with a New Yorker. It's our fact checkers, our lawyers constantly reviewing things. We got my editor, we got other people in the magazine scrutinizing it to make sure that when we publish it in our anniversary issue coming up in early February, that it'll be as factual and as fair as it could possibly be.
And you don't have an agenda in this. You're telling Paul's story, but you yourself and the magazine, by extension, does not come to this with a predisposition to find fault with Scientology folks. Or
not at all.
Right. So you're just trying to be fair.
Yeah.
And in fact, when you say about respecting them, this is how you approach all your subjects, right?
Well, I try to.
Right. I mean, even the folks, to come back now to the 9/11 story, I mean, you made peace or friendships or acquaintanceships with a lot of people who, under other circumstances, you might not have anything to do with, and you showed them respect all throughout that process, right?
I think everybody has a belief that what they're doing is the right thing to do. That the course of their life has led them to conclusions they believe you might have come to had you been in their shoes.
Right.
And that's not true of all people, but the vast majority of people that you run into think that they are doing what their life has called them to do.
But this subject in particular, the Church of Scientology, there has been this kind of lid down on it. A lot of people have been reluctant to talk historically, and even people who are publicly associated with the Church of Scientology, from John Travolta to Tom Cruise, are not exactly shrinking violets. These are people who are in the business of attracting a lot of publicity, but on this subject there's been very little open discussion.
And it's reflected in the fact that most of the books about Scientology are by defectors who have an axe to grind.
Right, and they're dismissed out of hand for that reason. Right.
There's very little scholarship. When I was writing about Mormons, I've got a library of Mormon material that is really fascinating. But for decades, there have been tremendous amount of interesting historical and sociological research on the Church of Latter-day Saints.
Yep.
And when you go to look at Scientology, you know, the cupboard is very bare. And so it's very, you know, poorly understood religion.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I got intrigued by it.
And this will then become, you think, a book?
Yeah, I'm going to write a book after the article comes out.
Is there anything that could happen in response to the article from the standpoint of how the Church of Scientology views your work, whether it's legal action taken or public outcry or whatever else, that might dissuade you from writing the book, or are you committed to this?
No, I'm going to write the book.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the book will be essentially an extension of what you do. Will it be to take the Paul Haggis story as the driving narrative?
I think so.
Yeah.
The book will give me more opportunity to explore the lure of belief and, you know, the consolations of belief, and also the particular doctrines within the church,
Yep.
which are really intriguing. And I'm especially interested in L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of it. He's, you know, an extraordinary character, no matter what you think about him.
It's almost hard to remember that he's real.
Yeah.
Right? The way that he's often talked about,
Yeah.
right? It's like almost a...
And you know, there's an interesting parallel because, you know, he had this great ambition of being a movie director like Paul Haggis.
Right.
And he lived in Hollywood early in his life, and he hired Cecil B. DeMille's son to be his personal assistant. And he had, you know, in many respects, Paul Haggis is an embodiment of what Hubbard would like to have been.
Yeah, it's nice when the story ties up neatly that way.
Yeah.
Larry, we're out of time. Thank you. Good luck. I can't
It's a
wait to
pleasure.
read the story. We'll look forward to the book, and congratulations, as always, on your success.
Thank you, Evan.
Larry Wright, thanks very much. Great. Thank you. Very fun.
Funding for Overheard with Evan Smith is provided in part by Hilco Partners, Texas Government Affairs Consultancy, and its global healthcare consulting business unit, Hilco Health, and by the Matson McHale Foundation in support of public television, and also by MFI Foundation, improving the quality of life within our community, and also by the Alice Kleberg Reynolds Foundation. And viewers like you, thank you.